Good morning. We're all ready to go? Terrific. Well, it's wonderful to be here by the Brisbane River in the heart of this beautiful city in what is a great tourism state, along with CEO of QTIC, Brett Fraser, and with Riverlife's John Sharp. Sharpie has seen the sharp end of what natural disasters do to our tourism operators, and that's why I'm so proud to be able to stand here on behalf of myself and the Federal Agriculture and Disaster Response Minister, Murray Watt, to be able to announce our joint Palaszczuk-Albanese government $7 million recovery and resilience package for the tourism industry. This $7 million package is part of the broader commitment between the Australian Government and Queensland Government around recovery packages in our disaster response recovery arrangements, the $177 million worth of funding around helping support the whole of our community get back up on its feet, to be better and better prepared and be ready for the next impacts of natural disasters. This $7 million package aimed at the tourism industry and aimed at tourism operators is all about making sure that those operators are indeed building back better. That they don't just recover themselves and put them back into the position where they're serving and providing great experiences to tourists right now, like those that have been through the impacts of those natural disasters have, but they also have that capacity to change their arrangements, change their physical assets, change their operations so that they can bounce back to operations and great experiences quicker and better, but also potentially operate through the impacts of natural disasters and lessen those economic impacts at those times. So what this package involves is a $5 million grant program with grants available between $20,000 and $150,000 that will help, as I say, operators retool themselves as they build back, retool themselves in ways that makes them more resilient to the impacts of natural disasters. So potentially it might involve some equipment that allows them to hoist up essential parts of their business and equipment out of the way of rising floodwaters and then bring it back into place ready to go as soon as they can. It equally might involve providing support for training around their staff to ensure that they're more resilient to the impacts of natural disasters and respond to those quicker and support the way in which they manage their bookings and those situations when weather events affect them. And then there's a further $2 million package that's all about making sure that these communities that are impacted on a regular basis by natural disasters have a variety of product that can make sure that they can swing their tourism operations and offer into something else when some element of their tourism operations and attractions are impacted by weather events. So that's what we've worked together with the Australian Government to develop. Very pleased to know that we're working closely with the whole of our tourism industry right across the state to deliver on that, and know that it's coming at a time when we're looking forward to really good times. We've already seen the Queensland tourism industry bounce back really amazingly after those weather events earlier in the year, but we're looking forward to right now a bumper school holiday period. These September school holidays, we're predicting that we'll see a $2 billion boost to the Queensland economy out of these school holidays. Occupancy rates at accommodation venues right across the state are looking really, really outstanding. We're in the 90% occupancies I'll correct that. We're in the over 85% occupancy rates on the Gold Coast and Sunshine Coasts. We're seeing well over 75% now in the latest figures I've seen in far north Queensland, in places like Cairns and Port Douglas. And we're also seeing really good numbers coming out of the remainder of the sector. Even in Brisbane, that's not necessarily been a great performer and hasn't bounced back because of the failure of some business elements to bounce back. We're seeing occupancy rates for this September school holidays period of over 65%. And I know that's going to be really good news for Sharpie and his team here at Riverlife. But I might hand over to Brett Fraser to speak to this recovery and resilience package and the ways in which we're seeing our visitor economy bounce back. But we've got to be ready to make sure that we can really recover from other impacts, not just impacts of the pandemic, but impacts like natural disaster impacts. Brett.
Thank you, Minister. What we know is that extreme weather events cause major disruption to tourism operators across the state. So on behalf of industry, I do congratulate the Queensland and federal governments for this funding package. It's packages like this that will help businesses not just become more resilient to withstand natural disasters and extreme weather events, but also bounce back quicker. And we've seen over the last 2.5 years that the tourism industry in particular has been really, really heavily affected by COVID. And the last 12 months has been an improvement. But what we do need to make sure is that our tourism industry is as resilient as possible. We want to see the littlest downtime possible from the inevitable events that we will see from weather conditions. So these kind of activities which support those businesses to bounce back quickly, which means for them they've got less downtime and they can get back up and running quicker and offering these great experiences that visitors want. So I do congratulate the government on this package and the support they're offering industry. And as the Minister said, we've seen a really strong last 12 months for domestic tourism. We've seen domestic tourism numbers almost equal the pre-pandemic levels of pre-2019. So this school holiday period, we're seeing very strong bookings. Not surprisingly, we're seeing the trend continue where people are booking in 2 to 4 weeks out from the school holiday period. So that trend of late booking is continuing. As the Minister says, we've seen strong bookings across the state. Over 65% here in Brisbane, 75% plus in our coastal regions, and areas like the Whitsundays, over 85% bookings. That's a really strong performance for the holiday period. What's really important also, and I do congratulate the aviation sector. We've seen a lot of criticism of the sector over the last number of months, but we've seen capacity increase in the aviation sector across the school holiday periods, which is providing more opportunities for those visitors across the state and across the country to get to Queensland and make the most of what Queensland has to offer. And finally, I just want to say, it's the efforts of organisations like Tourism Events Queensland and the regional tourism organisations across the state who spend their time promoting the great opportunities available in Queensland that has driven this success of the school holiday period. So to all those agencies out there that are promoting Queensland to domestic visitors, I say congratulations to you. Your campaigns are working and the industry, thanks you for that.
Thanks, Brett. And as I mentioned earlier, Riverlife here, a great asset to our visitor economy in Brisbane, was severely impacted by flooding issues earlier in the year. And I'd like to hand over to Sharpie, as he's best known, to speak to that and to what this package can mean for businesses like his.
Thank you, Minister. Welcome to Riverlife, and it's great to be down here. And it is very, very difficult to prepare for a flood, to get yourself into a position and then to recover afterwards. I think what this grant will allow us to do is make all our equipment more mobile so we can move it out quickly and we can lift it to higher ground. Last time it flooded here, we had about 35 people come down and help us move all our equipment up. And there were some items that took about 8 men to lift and get them out of harm's way. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to see that we can move stuff out the road quickly, get it back quickly and start operating again. We learned from the first flood in 2011 where we lost about $280,000 worth of equipment. We learned from that. This last flood we lost about $50,000 worth of equipment, but we think next time round we'll be ready. So with this assistance it's going to be terrific for us to be up and running quickly and do what we like to do best. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. So any questions for any three of us around that issue that I announced today before we move on to other things?
School holiday related, I guess, do you have any figures on exactly how many people we could be seeing coming to Queensland these school holidays?
Yeah, well, we're seeing flights, passenger numbers on flights coming into Queensland from across Australia of over 900,000. And just, I think it's 415,000 of that is from out of New South Wales alone. So there's significant numbers of people coming into Queensland during the school holiday period. So great to see Queenslanders getting out and continuing to enjoy Queensland, but it's even better to see those Australians from across the country really embracing what a Queensland holiday has to offer and the great variety of experiences that we have.
Obviously, September school holidays, it's like the first warm sort of school holidays. Do you think this will be the busiest one since before the pandemic?
Oh yes, it's certainly gearing up for us to see that this will be the busiest school holiday period in our tourism industry since the pandemic. But it just because it does coincide with this period where things start to warm up, it won't just be around our beach experiences. There's a range of experiences where people are embracing the opportunity that getting back out there and enjoying what Queensland has to offer involves. I was going to say that includes the great variety and wonderful number of events that are really important to our economy, including we're seeing the Brisbane Festival continuing at the moment, obviously the Carnival of Flowers in Toowoomba. So there's great events going on right around the state. And I think that also includes a big football event that will happen in Townsville next week as well. We might see some people coming from across the country to enjoy that wonderful event at North Queensland Stadium as well.
We've heard today that the government's nearly a year behind in its infrastructure planning for the Olympics. You've got venues, stadiums, entertainment centres, transport systems for the week before then. Are you up against it in terms of having everything ready on time?
The opening ceremony of the Olympics will be happening in 2032. It'll be 3,596 days away. We have a lot of time to be ready. There is great work going on, great positive moves and work going on between all the partners that have been going on very well over the past 12 months and continue to go on a pace that will deliver a wonderful Games. I know people are very excited. I know people want to see it happen tomorrow. But it's as I say, 3,596 days away. There is plenty of time to keep doing what we are doing to be prepared for that extraordinary global event.
Are you confident it won't be a rush at the last minute to get everything done?
Let me reiterate that the Olympics and Paralympics have traditionally been awarded to a city 7 years out from the event happening. Here we've got this 10-year runway to do all the things we need to do in a new norms environment where the vast majority of our venues and facilities are already in place or will be temporary ones. We have plenty of time to do what we need to do, and the great planning is going on apace.
What are some of the big ticket items that you need to have completed before the Olympics?
Well, as the host city contract, as the host city bid has in place, and our agreements are around these, basically the major facilities that need to come beyond, over and above what we already have. And I want to highlight that back in May when we saw senior officials from the International Olympic Committee visiting Brisbane, Cedric Dubler, one of those officials, was saying at the time that he was excited. He thought the Games could start tomorrow, and he wished that everyone else he was hearing was wishing that was going to happen, because he could see that we had great facilities that were ready to go. But obviously, we've got commitments around the things that we want to see a growing city continue to have. The major projects that includes under that host city contract include the redevelopment of the Gabba, include the 4 community big boxes, which are really about community facilities right across parts of southeast Queensland, and also the white water facility in the Redlands. They're really the only things. That's the small minority of things that won't be using facilities that we have in place. Then there's also the further one in that space is also the Brisbane Arena proposal around that Roma Street precinct. All of those things, the planning work to get those projects right are underway, and work's going on amongst the different Games partners to get that right. So I'm very confident that we're in a good space to continue to work together well ahead of any other games held in history. Well ahead of any other games held in history. We are in a great place to deliver what will be a fantastic event in 2032 for both the Olympics and the Paralympics.
Can you understand some of the scepticism though, because it's taken years for Cross River Rail to get off the ground? How are you going to have all the infrastructure for the Olympics completed by 2032?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Cross River Rail, because Cross River Rail represents one of those projects that it will make sure that we're in the position to be able to deliver the Olympics and Paralympics. It was in fact one of those projects that made our bid possible, and the way in which it's advanced and the way in which we can see the unity that's coming around projects that we need to do across the state. The level of political unity around our project for the Olympics and Paralympics, pretty much unprecedented a number of things, and I can certainly point to the fact that a project like Cross River Rail, that's only been delayed by political division. Thankfully, we don't have that sort of political division about our ambitions around hosting the Olympic and Paralympic Games.
Statistically, a lot of the ministers will have moved on by the time the Olympics roll around. How much responsibility will the ministers now hold for any infrastructure that doesn't get off the ground?
I think the focus is that we're all around focused on delivering a great games for our city, for our region, for the state, for the country, for this part of the world. It's an exciting opportunity to be a part of. I know everyone who's involved, be they at a ministerial level, or be they engaged from one of our other games partners, or be they someone working on one of the projects from within departments or within the private sector that's been engaged. They are all excited to be part of and committed to delivering an extraordinary experience, not only for those few weeks of sporting events in 2032, but the opportunity that all of these activities will deliver in terms of great legacy for our community, not just for 2032, but thinking about 2042 and beyond. We've got to be focused on that, and we all are, and I know that people are very committed to that, and there's no concerns that people are looking anything other than being focused on having great outcomes for that event. That's why, for instance, we've got our first meeting of the Legacy Committee that the Premier's asked me to chair tomorrow. Queenslanders from across the state with a variety of backgrounds and interests, not the usual suspects, coming together to work with other interested advocates and partners around how we can make sure that these events don't just deliver a great experience in 2032, which they will, but also deliver for this community and beyond for many years to come.
Would you expect the current ministers to take responsibility for any projects that are delayed or don't get off the ground in time?
Ministerial responsibility is something I understand very, very well. It's something I take very, very seriously, and then we all do, and I'm absolutely confident about that.
And are you 100% confident that every single program that you've committed to for these Olympics will get off the ground in time for the Olympics?
I am absolutely sure that we will deliver a fantastic games based upon the work that we've done for the host contract, that the bid that we've got agreed with the Olympics and the Paralympics, the Olympic movement and the Paralympic movement will deliver an outstanding games, and that a big part of that will be the delivery of those things that we've committed to.
And but you, just checking, you said you're confident that Brisbane will deliver an excellent games. Are you confident that all of the infrastructure projects will get off the ground?
I am confident that all of the things that we have committed to will be delivered in order to deliver a great games. And the main focus is about delivering a great games and great legacy. It's not about delivering the letter of anything in detail. What we've got to be focused on is a great games and a great legacy.
Minister, this Olympic coordination authority that police are talking about this afternoon, what's the significance of that? Is there sort of any barriers by your company established so far?
A huge amount of work has been going on apace. Really, that proposal is around the final sign-off arrangements and deliveries between the different partners, particularly the Australian government and the Queensland government. There's been great work and great conversations, I know, between the Prime Minister and the Premier around how important it is that we work very closely together to deliver a fantastic games.
What hasn't that authority been split up? It's meant to be within 5 months.
As I say, we are 3,596 days out from the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games and the Paralympic Games following soon after. we have plenty of time to continue to work on those things that we need to do to deliver a great Games. We're seeing that work happening already. All that work will happen in preparation. And as I say, the feedback we're getting from the International Olympic Committee is very positive about all the arrangements we've got in place and how we're continuing to move forward.
Obviously there's been some talk following the Queen's passing that the King may come and visit early next year. I mean, obviously we want to see him come to Queensland, but would you want to see a visit, multiple visits up the Queensland coastline?
Well, as Tourism Minister, I think anyone from across the world who wants to come to Queensland needs to come and visit some of our amazing experiences. And I know it will be wonderful to see King Charles come and see and experience and be part of enjoying those wonderful tourism experiences that we have on offer. And in doing so, might then tell and show the rest of the world some things that they mightn't have known about Queensland tourism and Queensland experiences before that. So as an advocate for our visitor economy, and I know these gentlemen around me would be great supporters of that, we'd love to see Prince Charles come and enjoy everything that Queensland's got to offer. Whether he wants to go snorkelling on the Great Barrier Reef or whether he wants to get out here on the river on a kayak, there's great experiences. I know he knows Queensland very well, and we'd love to show him even more.
Obviously there's been a few calls from the opposition and multiple different sort of people over the last week about new monuments, statues, and even changing naming one of the lines in Elizabeth Line to Cross River Rail. Is the government looking at doing any of these things at the moment? Has there been any early discussions of new monuments or those sorts of things?
Look, we continue to be in the mourning period after the passing of our late sovereign. I don't think it's appropriate for us to be focusing on those sort of things, particularly those sort of things that have been framed by some in a way that's been partisan. So I think it's vitally important that we continue to observe the protocols, and we look forward to ways in which our late sovereign can be acknowledged. She is very acknowledged right across this state in a number of different ways, but happy to see those conversations continue.
Just one more on the Olympics. You mentioned that we're 10 years now. Are you confident that the government's not getting too overconfident in its ability to deliver the infrastructure program in that time? Are you not dragging your feet at all?
I find it extraordinary that I've had a series of questions about how that there's all sorts of questions and concerns, and if I express any level of confidence, that becomes then overconfidence. I am absolutely sure that we continue to do the hard work that's required to be ready for that event. We are working closely with all of our partners in doing so, and we will continue to do so right through up until that event is not only completed, but that we continue to see the benefits of the legacy opportunities for many years beyond. We're focused on doing the hard work. It will involve hard work. It will involve hard decisions. And we're not taking any of those things lightly. Okay, thanks all.
Yeah. Cool. That's right. Great.